I'm Stav Zilbershtein, CEO of Hyperion Tech. We're a company based in Malta with development centers in Ukraine. What we're doing is basically providing outstaffing solutions for IT engineers and software engineers for iGaming companies and fintech. So today I'm going to share with you through our growth process, which was very fast. In our first year, we grew from 0 to 100 people, maybe even before the first year ended. And thanks to that process, we managed to learn some things that might serve all of you. Whether you have an in-house team or offshore offices of your own, or you're considering to work with outsourcing solutions, these are the 3 success factors that we discovered to contribute to the success or failure of every development cycle. So the optimal conditions should be that you will have low conflict of interest, the tech team that is providing solutions for whatever department it is that you're developing, whether it's BI or product or any other part of your system. You want high responsivity levels and you want high level of attention. So just to break it down a little bit, what it means. So conflict of interest can arise from business model of an outsourcing solution that I will show shortly, but it can also arise in case that you overload your tech team with the desires of different departments in your organization. So for example, if the same tech team has to provide for product and for BI, there's going to be conflict of interest between the departments that desire the services of the tech team. So there are ways to keep this low. The higher it gets, the lousy the performance gets for you. And responsivity levels, simply put, it sounds simpler than it actually is. Just how fast does your team correspond with you? So when you have to work and release, especially in a volatile and fast environment like iGaming, you have a lot of deadlines, you have a lot of features, products on your roadmap, and you want to make sure that your team is responding fast enough. So many people have this misconception to think that it's more, if the team was in my office, then it's more likely that they will respond faster or not. But it's actually not so true. It really depends on the methodologies that you use, if you're using Scrum or other project management methodologies, and more on the spirit and morale of the team. If they are responding not fast enough and you're not exchanging communication in a fast enough way, it means that the project is going to inevitably fail. It's just something that no communication, no success. And level of attention, again, can happen either if it's a business model, an outsourcing business model that will be in conflict of interest with yours, or if an in-house team attention is just divided on certain projects rather than one. So we'll get kind of a progress in a little bit of each project rather than the entire picture. So that just brings us to the traditional solutions or business models that we see today in outsourcing. Usually these come into play when you go for scaling. You have to scale your operations. There will be scarcity of talents in the region where you are. Or again, in iGaming, a big problem that companies steal talents from one another. So in a small place like Malta, you will see the people shift all the time between the companies, chasing new opportunities. And each company today has like a barista with personalized mochachinos and all the facilities you can imagine. So basically, it's going insane, really. Like, I don't know what's next, what's coming next. Maybe some kind of a spa that will be built into the offices of Betson or something, like a spa and 5 free massages a week. I don't know. So, but the problem is, so stealing of talents becomes something that happens quite often. There are not enough talents that arrive in these locations. And then you meet the scalability issue. And this is why most of the people will try to either open an offshore office or go to an outsourcing solution, which is usually faster. But the main thing is that we see that the experience today that the outsourcing companies or niche has to offer, in our opinion, can be much, much better than what it already is. And since there are some kind of like matured dinosaurs that are already quite fat and happy and took over a lot of the actual talents and of the big clients in the industry, they kind of start taking it for granted. It becomes kind of bureaucratic and slow. And I want you just to understand how it works and what can be done differently. So most of these companies just work with a talent pool. It's very simple. I have 100 people that I manage together or more software engineers, and then they have to make money by renting them to you. So basically there is a small conflict of interest already when they set up your team, because as much as you would like them to be experts for your needs, the calculations to put the people into your team might be also the ones that are just available, because basically if I'm having a talent pool, I will lose money for each person that sits on my bench. So it's very easy to divert a little bit the decision towards profitability by making sure the people that are going to get out of a project to quickly put them into another project, which might not be really optimal for your needs. The second thing is that the level of attention will be low in general in a pool-based agency, because you have to imagine the life of a developer in a pool-based agency. They're burned out in most cases, unless they're new and they're still happy. They're burned out because they're being shifted between projects over and over again in a fast rate. And another thing is that when your attention as a client goes down, they will also actually work a little bit on other projects or support putting out fires with bigger clients than you. So this is something that is a pain point. Which brings me to what we call the 5 sins of traditional staffing companies that we can learn from. And it's not talking badly, it's just the necessities that arise from having a talent pool-based company leads to inevitably to these kind of behaviors that will damage you as a client. So one of them is the rotation of team members. I think this is the thing I heard the most from clients that worked with outsourcing companies. They said, look, they gave us a great team, we got some senior developers, we started running, it went really well for 6, 7, 8 months, and then they announced to us, I'm sorry, these 2 senior guys, we have to take them from your team because we're putting them now in another team. But we'll give you 2 new people, don't worry, they will be just the same. But that's not true. Because you as a client, when you work with an outsourcing solution, you want to treat as much as possible this team as your team. And then you spend a lot of effort in educating them, in maturing them, in teaching them your product and how to work with it. And when you pull out seniors that were basically leading your team throughout the whole process, and now they're gone, your team, the sprints are going to slow down, you know? The new people, they have to learn again. And no transition period is going to cover for this kind of scar. But why does this happen? First of all, it's all about profit management for, again, conflict of interest. The actual talent pool, once they feel you're kind of saturated or you're stable enough, or maybe they have other KPIs, then they might move the seniors. They might move them also because a bigger client just came. And they better take these engineers, put them there now. And the second thing is that in a talent pool base, there is also the human factor where people just say, I'm bored, you know. Vladimir works for one gaming provider for some time, and he said, look, I'm bored. I want to move to fintech. And because the focus is on the pool and not necessarily only on the clients, they will tell, okay, Vladimir, you move to fintech and we put someone else. And this is something that cannot be covered unless you change the business model. The second thing is overestimation of tasks. Again, in a more enterprise, matured outsourcing company, there will be a lot of people that don't want to take over responsibility. So if a team is ambitious too much and say, I can do it in a month, and they don't do it, they're kind of risking the relationship. The relationship manager will come to them and scold them and say, what are you doing? Why did you tell the client that you're going to do it in a month? So actually, even if they could do it in a month, they will never tell you that they could do it in a month. They will say, look, it's a minimum of 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, you know? And then there is kind of a constant battle between you as the client and the agency to negotiate how fast something can be done. But again, in a more of an enterprise environment, it's impossible to really get good estimations. And high level of bureaucracy, for example, you want to change the roadmap, you had a new feature, it's not what you thought, you want to change it, you want to fork it into two new smaller feature or any other thing. Usually it won't come that easy. So it's not that the Scrum Master will just tell you, all right, let's do it, we're shifting our attention, we're with you. It's kind of, I have to ask this guy and the other guy, and they need to approve it. Then we'll send you a document that you sign, that you change the milestones of your development. And when everything is approved, we let the team work. So it's kind of counteractive for the needs, especially in iGaming and fintech, industries that are moving really, really fast. Another thing is that the project manager's KPI is actually in conflict of interest with yours, because project managers in traditional pool-based agencies, their KPIs is to make sure to offer to you as many new projects as possible, as many new cross projects as possible, so that we will always present you with their new plans to do this kind of addition or cross-language, multi-language features for all of your, which is kind of, in the intention level, it's kind of okay, it can pass okay, but on the other hand, you have product teams and product managers on your company that already know where your company is heading. But why are they doing that? They're doing that because their goal is to make sure that you keep the team as much as possible in deployment. So it's kind of still in the background in conflict of interest with yours. And in the end of the day, the complexity of pricing models is kind of, the pre-sales services of enterprise-based solutions are great. They just use a lot of words like innovation, which wakes up every C-level, innovation. Wow, you'll take care of my innovation. Finally, someone. That doesn't how it works. You have to take care of that inside your company. But the pre-sale is amazing, and you get to pay for innovation hubs, hackathons, brainstorming sessions, and workshops, and it's all just added up. So in the end, just because they play on your pain point, which is scalability, and you just change overhead costs in your local region for enterprise packages. And here it looks kind of equal, but actually in some cases, it's actually more expensive than hiring people locally because they know you won't find the people. So the way we see it, it can be changed only if we change the business model at its core, and then we can eliminate the conflict of interest, the level of attention, and the responsivity rates. This is why Hyperion is kind of a hybrid between a classical outstaffing, which usually is hands-off, which is just say, we'll give you some people in chairs, take care of it. So we added kind of a project management layer to it that actually communicates with the product managers in your company and make sure that the spirit, the culture, the way the team works is actually more modified to your organization. But we work only with dedicated teams per client. So right now, when I have 120 people already by now in the office, they cannot work 1 minute for new clients because they're all booked only for their clients, and it's going to stay this way until the end. We never rotate team members because the team members that work in Hyperion already know to begin with that they're signing a contract to become a team which is a part of organization X, and that's it. We are not a leisure center to make sure that people, obviously we keep them interested and we bring in interesting and long-term projects, but we're definitely not into helping people move from fintech to gaming or to another project because they're bored. It doesn't work this way in Hyperion. So what happens when you put a dedicated team to a client? They get to mature and grow together with the client, and what happens is that they accelerate, they become better, and even if you need to expand, they can train people faster. So the scalability, training, and fast of your development, everything basically gets better in this model. So the team is set up for you, and not because we had some free people that we quickly had to get rid of before we lose money on them. We actually spend the time to learn with the product owners, product managers, what exactly do you need? Then we come up with a structure, then we go and hunt these talents. And because we take care of the envelope of great environment in Hyperion, and I encourage you to come visit our beautiful offices in Kharkiv, then you will see people are happy. We're becoming one of the more popular offices to work in Ukraine. There are some local platforms that rate working places, and Hyperion is always lately in the top 10 in our city, which is great. So it's easy for us to hunt the talents for you. And we don't believe in project managers that are mediators that stand between you and the team, because usually in the enterprise solutions, you will find project managers that are more like politicians, Their role is to keep the team away from you to tell you when things are fucking up or are late somehow, to convince you that everything is fine. But that's not exactly effective. You know, what's effective is that if the team could just work and do their work, and that there will be as much possible communication channels between product owners and their entire team, not only some diplomat that stands in the store front and tells you everything is going to be all right. So we actually include all of the team together with the product owner and the project managers in the daily stand-ups, because we just see it's more effective, you know. Give people more ways to communicate, they will just become better in working. So, and the pricing is really simple, so we won't talk about pricing because it's not like a sales pitch, but it's really simple. We just made everything more simple and more customized, so a turnkey solution can change like the outstaffing experience that you have into something else. Just because we eliminated this stressful risk of having a pool talent, this gives all the advantages. So that's pretty much it. If you have questions, please feel free to ask anything, really. It can be about in-house or anything, really.
Maybe Stav can speak more about the culture in Ukraine, and why did you choose the specific cities that you work with?
Oh yes, that's a great question. There are two big cities in Ukraine. I'm sure some of you already have. I know NetEnt has offices in Ukraine. Many other companies have. That's generally because Ukraine is kind of like the IT hub. You can say like Spain is the vegetable garden of Europe, and Ukraine is the IT hub, the IT garden of Europe as well. So because there is lack of local capital that invests in local projects, even though I hear this is improving and that's great for Ukraine economy, but in general, most of the IT talents are towards outsourcing or developing for other companies. And the rates of graduates that come out into the market every year are non-compatible, you know, with other wannabe regions. I'm sorry, not to offend, but there are many regions in Eastern Europe that are evolving and putting a lot of efforts in IT, but they just cannot compete with the numbers right now in the way that Ukraine is growing and producing more and more graduates into the market. One day there is some articles about Bulgaria, and everybody says Bulgaria is the next IT hub of Europe. But if you take just some statistics from Common, PwC, and other, it's all available on the internet. It's for free, by the way. You will see that in Bulgaria, there's like around 30,000 developers. And the enthusiast people will say there are 40,000. But actually, except from them all being in IBM and other big companies that already snatched whatever was in there, the local companies are just struggling. So basically, if you're going to open an office right now, at this point in time, at least 2019 in Bulgaria, you're going to end up with the same trouble of finding people like in your local region. Nothing's going to change. If you go to Kharkiv, on the other hand, we have 60,000 developers in the end of 2018, give or take. Out of them, 70% are already seniors or medians, with a division of 40% seniors, 30% medians. So basically it means if I can provide with good working environment, there are endless talents that I can tap into and get them on board. And this is something you have to take into account when you establish like a location. Why not Kiev? Because Kiev is like the New York City of Ukraine. It's overpopulated, it's expensive. Again, people become a little bit more chasing the next opportunity quite faster, let's say, than in Kharkiv. On the other hand, Kharkiv, 2 million people, 60,000 developers, more relaxed, university city, a lot of young people, and we just see this great attitude to work. You know, people come happy to work, they want to be a part of something, and they move things forward. So yeah, that's why.
I've worked in outsourcing of contact centers before, and maybe the attrition rates were higher. How do you tackle attrition rates? Because you mentioned, they work in your company, they still work for your client. They can eventually move to the client itself because they know their stuff. How do you tackle attrition?
You mean that they go and work for the client directly? That's called contracts, and we make sure.
What about attrition rates? Do you have a high attrition rate? People come and go all the time?
So far, no. I mean, the thing is that we are also cherry picking our clients, so we don't have short-term projects. So for example, if somebody comes and tells me, hey, Stav, we want to build a blockchain exchange, and we have 150,000 euros, and can you do it for us? It's a 3-month project. Can you do it? I'll tell them, no, I can't do it. Go to an agency. Because the thing is, we cannot risk our reputation as a place that provides mid to long-term projects for high talented developers. That's our business model. So Hyperion builds outstanding, passionate, dedicated teams, but the only way to do that is if we have a long enough period of time of obligation from the client. So we lock down from one end that hiring the people, right now we don't offer this in our model, so hiring them after the contract is over, for now, it's not an option. Willing to consider it for very long term, I don't know, after 5 years of success, let's talk about take the team. But no, right now not, because the products that we choose, the companies that we choose are big, established companies that need to scale fast. They know what is development cycles, so the environment is actually really nice to work in. Actually, if you want to know, we have people coming back. So we had 2 people that left. They wanted to chase like greater opportunities out there, and we told them, you know what? Good luck, you know, who am I to stop you from developing? Everybody wants to develop, right? After 1.5 months, they called us and said, can we come back? And I told them, really, what? What happened? Where are all the glorious frameworks and promises? We're just working overtime. There is this expectation to work in the weekend, at night. Can we come back? I told them, of course, come back, you know. For us, it's great because they can tell other people that consider leaving what's really going out there. So the thing is, we bring European standards into this region because some of the companies still a bit exploit workforce, you know, and that's kind of a bad thing. So even though if it's accepted for some people to say, I got a job, so I have to say thank you and work until the night and work in the weekend, we don't believe this is sustainable for the future. We actually believe that because we create the right environment, we can steal more, we don't have to do anything, you know, we just have to open the door and they come in. So
how often do you get new clients?
Pretty often.
The question is, if you said that you have dedicated teams to each and every client, what happens when you get a new client on board? How fast do you recruit people? Do you recruit them or you have them on bench?
Great question, great question. So we don't have people on bench for the main reason not to come into all of this conflict of interest that we mentioned. And we have a big HR team and for now, great traction. So far, one team of developers, let's say average team of 6 developers, 4 developers and 2 supportive layer QA and project management can be set up in 4 to 5 weeks. If we have, sometimes we had a challenge to set up 25 people and we managed to do it, I think, in 8 weeks. And this was kind of a bigger project. Actually, in 6 weeks, half of them were already in the office or more, and then a few more weeks just to close the holes. But so it's pretty fast, unless you come up with some exotic frameworks that nobody heard of. But usually that's not the case. So if it's .NET, React.js, you know, all the common things that are kind of popular, it's pretty fast to get the people on board. Python as well, even.
Do you relocate people from somewhere else to Kharkiv?
It happens sometimes. So there is an exotic place called Poltava. It is a beautiful farmland in the middle between Kiev and Kharkiv with broken roads. You need definitely some Range Rover to pass through. But so in general, yes, sometimes we relocate people. They happily relocate to Kharkiv if they get a good job opportunity. So actually, yeah, I think we have someone even from Odessa. I don't know. I heard something about, yeah. So sometimes they do, but we still find plenty in our own cities. So our HR department also takes care of doing local events. We did the Blockchain Academy, and we're doing some PHP events, other events, whatever we feel like needed, and group up the people. And yeah, so.
Thank you, Stav. Thank you. I think this conversation could go on until 1 o'clock.
Forever, yes.
Forever, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's been great.
Thanks, guys.